Well, hello and welcome to next Metagame Monday, where I take a look at very popular teams, its synergies, its sets, and how it fares against other metagame teams like Tornado, Groudon, Sun, stuff what you would expect. So today's episode is about Calyrex-Ice, and I've been notified my videos are pretty long, so I'm gonna try to make today's video a bit shorter. I'm not gonna go too in-depth, and I actually got a new way to explain the metagame matchups, so hopefully you're gonna look forward to that. Anyways, let's start with this team then. So Calyrex-Ice, this is just exact set what everyone would expect. So in DD, if you're not running in DD, you do not want to run Expanding Force. It's probably not a good idea, and instead I would try to recommend running something like Draining Kiss for extra coverage. But as we are running in DD, Expanding Force is incredible weapon against opponents sometimes, as long as they're not carrying some trickery mode. As we're gonna go over that a little bit later in counteraction section as well. So what else is this Calyrex-Ice doing? So a lot of people gain, like, of course, Astral Barrage for great spread damage. Actually, Astral Barrage makes Calyrex-Ice a good Dynamax reverse sweeper. So if by any chance you want to Dynamax, for example, Thunderous or Chandela, as we're gonna get to these later, Calyrex-Ice can very easily clean up just with Astral Barrage, because it's just ridiculous move. Look at it. 120 base power and attacks 2 foes. That's basically Precipice Blades that cannot miss. That is very good, and I agree. So if you're now probably wondering, like, David, what's Mudshot doing? It's 55 base power. Well, is it for speed drop? No. The idea is if you Dynamax, you get max quick out of Mudshot, and it's actually twice as powerful. It has 110 base power, and it allows us to counteract one most important annoying dog type in the metagame, that being Incineroar. You actually do one-shot Incineroar, and unlike Spectre, Incineroar cannot go for Sugar Berry to resist the max quick, because S1 gives Calyrex-Ice enough, which nullifies the effect of berries. So yeah, other than that, you really want to run max speed. There's just no other way. And in this case, we're running Life Orb as it's our kind of main sweeper, and it's probably going to be brought to every battle, so Life Orb gets the most use out of it on this Pokemon. Now, in DD Female, alright, so we're gonna go over this in alternative Pokemon section, but in DD Female, I feel just complements the Calyrex-Ice a bit better, since it got Follow Me, which allows it to just survive stuff like Darkest Lariat from Incineroar, and that it could be invaluable, and it just allows us to beat stuff like Max Darkness Incineroar. Well, we could otherwise one-shot it, but if Incineroar decides to Dynamax, there is no way we can stop the Max Darkness coming out. Even Helping Hand Max Quick doesn't knock out, and this is something DD Male cannot do. It can Helping Hand, but it cannot save Calyrex-Ice from inevitable death. Along with Follow Me, we can probably Twitco Incineroar with Max Quake, get a special attack boost, and then reverse sweep, because we got that one more turn of Dynamax, and we got special attack boost on Calyrex, which means after it Dynamaxes, it will start launching like +1, +2 Astral Barrages, and that will be a bit too much for most opponents to handle. Yes, we got Helping Hand, so for the reasons I explained. Helping Hand Astral Barrage allows us to one-shot stuff like Dusclops plus Resurrection, so yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. Helping Hand Max Shatter Psyche, no, excuse me, Max Mindstorm Chaos stuff like Porygon 2. So Helping Hand really allows Calyrex-Ice to be even more dangerous. And Helping Hand Expanding Force, of course, scary as well. And Expanding Force on needy as well. It's important to have at least one attack move on your support Pokemon, so they are not dead weight. And Expanding Force really hurts, even if we have no special attack investment on DD. Psychic Seed, okay. Psychic Seed is just to raise more special defense. We could run stuff like, you could run like Safety Goggles on DD, but I think Psychic Seed complements, just gives DD even more bulk, which makes it, as a result, a bit more annoying. And this amount of speed allows us to outspeed, I believe, Kartana, Thunderous, and Raichu if we get +1 speed from Thunderous, so, actually, excuse me. This is wrong. This is the right spread. This allows us to outspeed Thunderous at +1. If our Thunderous wins the speed tie against opponent's Thunderous, of course, but it's kind of a good idea, as well as we just get a, well, get a breakpoint here on defense stats, so we do not waste EVs, and the rest of the 4 here, so we do not waste EVs. Pretty much optimal spread, I'd say. Alright, Whimsicott. There are 2 possibilities and ways you can run Whimsicott. I chose Helping Hand again because it allows me to, well, basically against Fake Out leads, I can just go for a Helping Hand, and Helping Hand has higher priority than Fake Out, and I can, for example, get Helping Hand on Calyrex or Thundurus that Dynamax or our Ghost type, so I guaranteed get 2 attacks off on lead. Taunt is for, of course, obvious reasons. We want to taunt the Trick Roomers if we can. Tailwind gives us double the speed, even though you think it's counterproductive on such a fast team. This extra speed allows us to outspeed like Chlorophyll users like Venus or Rain Dance, Swift Swim Sweepers like Kingdra, and we can match the Tailwind with slower Tailwind teams like Kyogre, Tornado, which has Kyogre and Cortana. And Moonblast is 4 again, so Whimsicott is not completely passive Pokemon. Now, the second possible set on this Whimsicott is to run Eject Button. And believe it or not, Eject Button will be expected if you run Imprisoner like Chandela, Imprison Trick Room user. Eject Button on Whimsicott is guaranteed because Imprisoner always wants a Focus Sash. More on that later. So, Eject Button. Why you want to run Switcheroo? And you definitely want to run Protect. Why Protect? So basically, you want to avoid Fake Out playstyle ones. So like, opponent fakes out on Whimsicott, you're pretty much screwed because you switch out, don't get Tailwind up, and it just can get messy. With Protect, we just gain more momentum as a result. We can switch to next turn, or we can just go for Tailwind next turn. This is important, but for reasons of tier moning the matchups later, I am going to be running this spread. Alright. Now Thundurus. So this is like the core around Shadow Rider. Why Thundurus? Well, you're probably seeing that our Incineroar matchup is not the best right now. And Tornogre matchup is still kind of wanky. So I decided to just add a Thundurus onto this team, which punishes Incineroar leads like crazy because we get Defiant Boost, we get a Tailwind up. We can go for Helping Hand and we can go for Max Airstream with +1 attack. We pretty much get a Dragon Dance up with Max Airstream plus a Defiant Boost, so we can reverse sweep the opponent very easily right now. And the coverage moves of Thundurus are extremely valuable as well. Last slot I dedicated to Iron Tail because I just wanted Iron Tail. I liked Iron Tail so we can counteract Xerneas a bit better, as you're gonna see later. And getting defense boosts on Thundurus can be also valuable time to time, and can catch opponent off guard, of course. But most people choose to run Lash Out, which actually doubles the power against Incineroar lead, because Lash Out's secondary effect. But also it allows for better counteract Shadow Rider counteraction in mirrors. But I still just prefer running Iron Tail. Max attack, max speed, so we outspeed and outpower as much as possible. Since without Life Orb, 115 attack stat without boosting nature like Adamant can be a bit lackluster, so we definitely want to run max attack. Chandela, you might be asking, wait a minute, we run Trick Room Imprison, of course, to counteract the opponent's Trick Room Imprison. If you don't know, no foe can use any move known by user, so that immediately shuts down Trick Room attempts, because we got Trick Room on our moveset. Now, why do we run Focus Sash? So basically, I can go for Imprison Trick Room, but that turn, opponent could still choose Trick Room as its move, and if Chandela gets knocked out before the Trick Room would be executed by the Trick Room setter, the Imprison won't work and the Trick Room will be set up. So we want to prevent that with Focus Sash. So for example, if Incineroar leads and Max Darkness is us, we get brought down a Focus Sash, but Imprison effect will still be on the field and we will shut it down. So Trick Room won't be set up and we can win. Taunt is my secondary way to shut down Trick Room. Trick Room Imprison is mostly for a, let's say, Resurrection Trick Room. Taunt allows us to counteract well, basically, like, Porygon 2 plus Redirection would be unstoppable for this team. Astral Barrage cannot knock it out. Helping and Expanding Force cannot. So Trick Room Imprison is our reason for that. Taunt will be able to shut down the Porygon 2 without Redirection, a bit more flexible, and will be able to shut it down after Chandela Feint. This is very important. So Chandela won't be around forever. With his defenses and this very typing that makes it weak to a lot of types, it won't be here forever, so we want to get additional taunt shut down. And like, you might be saying like, wait a minute, if we got Focus Sash and Shadow Ball, we could counteract opponents' Calyrex Shadow Rider very well. I believe after Max Quake Boost, we do not knock out opponents' Dynamax Calyrex Shadow Rider if it Dynamaxes and gets Max Quake Boost. Plus, it's better to lead Thundurus against Calyrex Shadow Rider, trust me. So I decided to just swap, because Shadow Ball is not going to be used in any real scenario, I decided to get Chandela a taunt, and Heatwave is just powerful enough coming from this astronomical special attack that it's going to be self-sufficient. And Urshifu Rapid Strikes is our like backup sweeper that will be brought to games where we will just want to reverse sweep the, like, finish off the opponent without need of Dynamax, and Urshifu is arguably the best non-Dynamax sweeper in the game. So yeah, Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, great moves. Just always run them on Urshifu for coverage and stab options for priority, and Poison Jab is literally for fairies. And since we already gave Chandela a Focus Sash, the next most logical choice is to give Urshifu Rapid Strikes a choice band. So its attacks are nuclear. It's the second best set after Focus Sash. So, and with that we can just punch holes in the opponent as well. So yeah, this is just the reason. Also, it counteracts Incineroar as well, so that's pretty useful. Now, alternative options for the team are as following. Indeedee Mail can be used to just try to merge Chandela and Indeedee in one slot. If you do not mind losing Follow Me, this is probably the way. Helping Hand boost still allows Calyrex Shadow Rider to be nuclear, Expanding Force hurts, and Trick Room Imprison, plus Focus Sash for the reasons I explained already. So what do you want to do? Like, if you merge these two slots together, it does both of the jobs worse than both of these Pokemon individually, but you free up a slot. So what do you want to do? Do you want to do something with that? Of course, you want to get a 6th slot on the team. So you can alternatively get another sweeper alongside the Urshifu Rapid Strikes. Of course, you can, you can actually use Dark Strike Urshifu as well, but you probably miss out on instant or counteraction as a result. Because Wicked Blow is Dark type move and instant resists that, and Close Combat is not a guaranteed crit, so Intimidate affects Urshifu and it won't be able to KO Incineroar. So I actually recommend running a Rapid Strike Urshifu, but it's not unheard of to run Dark type Urshifu, as it allows for easier Shadow Rider counteraction in mirrors. Anyways, the sweepers could be stuff like Choice Band Rakobish. It's really nuclear under Talman, as you might expect. 170 base power attack, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5 boost. It's ridiculous. Other tips I can give you, I fought someone on high ladder with Darmanitan on a team. I'm not sure if it was Focus Sash, Choice Band, or whatever, but Darmanitan can be, with Gorilla Instincts, can be pretty powerful as well. And Landorus, of course, like Assault Vest for more consistent defensive game plans. All are great options if you choose Indeedee Male as a Pokemon that merges Chandela and Indeedee Female together. And other tip I can give you is Regieleki. Regieleki allows again for easier mirror counteraction because you're just so fast, and you got Electro Web. Electro Web from based on speed Pokemon plus Tailwind allows you to pretty much always be the opponent's Tailwind, although it's not very reliable. Since if opponent leads with Thundurus Incarnate form, they will KO you with +2 attack Max Airstream, and will get the speed boost immediately back with Max Airstream secondary effect, so it doesn't really go anywhere in the Calyrex Shadow Rider mirrors, so I don't think it's that viable. It can be useful against Tornador, of course, but then at that point you're already counteracting Tornador so hard with Thundurus, Tailwind, faster Calyrex Shadow Rider, and now you got Eleki as well. You're pretty much hard countering Tornador as a result now. So that is the team explanation. Now let's go over to the matchup section. So what I've been pretty much doing on a Google Slides presentation is that I actually thought myself, but on paper. So to picture what are my thoughts behind counteracting the opponent's archetype better, I decided to just go and show you my game plans in replays, pretty much replays. Alright, so let's go over what are my line of thoughts, and we're going to just picture it. So Tornado is the first archetype, of course, and we got pretty much want to counteract Xerneas plus Kyogre perfectly. So I believe what the best, like, we're going to go over. So basically, if opponent's Kartana wants to switch in, opponent doesn't get too much out of it. Basically, opponent could have just let Kartana and got much more out of the game plan. So basically, against Kyogre, you just want to max lightning the Kyogre for instant one-shot and just match the elements. You could taunt the opponent's Xerneas, but if opponent goes for max airstream, things could get ugly. So let's just not predict at all, and let's just like assume we're gonna match the elements instead. And opponent Dynamax's Kyogre as well to surprise you. So yeah, Dynamax and Kyogre is most viable play. If Groudon switches in, it takes over 30% with max lightning, and then we can pretty much helping in max airstream. Opponent Xerneas' ice ones don't do much because they activate Defiant. Yeah, opponent will just get overwhelmed by the Thunderous, and of course, if opponent decides to Dynamax Kartana, opponent cannot Dynamax Kyogre in late game, and Kyogre will just get KO'd by Volt Charge, and it just doesn't go anywhere. Switching to Kartana is not a solution for opponent right here. We match the elements. Max Lightning does good damage. This is pretty defensive Kyogre, from what I remember I used in this replay. Worst case scenario, we can double up the Xerneas here, but if opponent Kyogre attacks, it's pretty horrible. So I decided just again come in with the worst case scenario. We break the Xerneas' Focus Sash, and we are so far setting up for the trap. Don't worry, I do not have Defiant in this replay, but it would not matter. We pretty much taunt the Kyogre so it cannot protect, and then we just get KO'd as a result. One more turn of Tailwind, and we set up a trap right here, as you're seeing. We're gonna go off for a helping in Astral Barrage right here, and this is pretty much a cleanup right now, so I'm just gonna... opponent cannot switch to Kartana. Opponent got no way out of this, actually, trust me. If they switch into Aleki or they preserve Xerneas plus Kartana, pretty much we can just follow me with Indeedee and just double knock out Kartana and Xerneas with Astral Barrage, so this is just so over by this point. And as you're seeing here, like, nothing would change if Xerneas plus Kartana would be here. We would just reverse sweep anyways. GG. And second game plan against Tornado. What if opponent decides to lead Kartana plus Xerneas? So basically, of course we match the element, or we don't. But a funny idea is we got Copper Berry for Whimsicott, so opponent is forced to max Steel Spike here to increase the defense. But as a result, opponent doesn't increase the speed, and even if opponent increases the speed, our Xerneas is faster, so it will go for max Airstream before Kartana can go for its own max Airstream, and we would as a result get a +1 speed to Calyrex that will allow us to outspeed the Kartana. So Airstream would not be a solution for this, and of course, as you're seeing here, this is pretty much a loss because we got +2 speed on Thunderous, and Tailwind gives opponent +2 speed, but we are just faster than Kyogre, and this game just gets cleaned up as a result. Yeah, Astral Barrage. Yeah, this is not going anywhere. Cool. Yeah. GG. So this is my ideal game plan against Tornado. So against Groudon Sun, what do? We lead Chandelure Whimsicott, and we have Calyrex, Shadow Rider, and Urshifu in the back. So turn 1, one of the scenarios is opponent leads Groudon plus Venusaur, so what do? We just go for a Heatwave plus Tailwind. There is nothing opponent can do to stop that. Opponent can just stand just like expecting Venusaur might just do something like win a speed tie, but that's just unviable. And opponent cannot really switch to anything like Glacier or Porygon 2. So yeah, by the way, Glacier got very popular on Sun again for some reason lately, so I'm tier-moning that at the moment. So there was no possible good switch in for this, and as a result, opponent just had to sacrifice Venusaur, since it doesn't run Protect. Next turn, we're gonna taunt the Porygon 2, get another Heat Wave off. We actually missed the Porygon 2 here, but the job is done. Oh yeah, I actually just wasted turn here intentionally. No, wait a minute. Oh yeah, if we would switch into Calyrex Shadow Rider, we would still achieve the same result as with Chandela, right? Because we just got Astral Barrage would finish off Groudon, and Urshifu, it's close combat, but Choice Band guaranteed KOs Porygon too, so this would not change a bit, even if we just got Calyrex here instead of the Chandela. So just use your imagination, and yes, we just won this game at this point. So basically, against a Porygon 2 Incineroar lead, we were planning to switch out Whimsicott because opponent expects Trick Room and Prison, of course. So opponent will double up the Whimsicott, try to knock it out with Fake Out Ice Beam, so there's just they kill at least one of the birds with the 2 stones. Excuse my bad English. So we basically just prevent that by switching to Urshifu, and we're gonna taunt the Porygon 2, so it's just not going to go for any shenanigans like Recover. Now, this most safest play is to target down the Incineroar slot with Close Combat or Surging Strikes. Porygon 2 guaranteed knocks you out with Tri Attack. You could target down Porygon 2 expecting a Incineroar switch, but yeah, this is just, let's say this is the most safest play. All other plays like target down Porygon 2 and then opponent switches to Groudon with Porygon 2, you get -1 defense and opponent's Incineroar just one-shots you with +1 max flare. That would be horrifying, and after that you would not be able to counteract the Incineroar even with Calyrex Shadow Rider in the back. So the safest play is to try to attack the Incineroar slot. Worst case scenario truly is that Groudon switches in, and we still get a Heat Wave off, which does massive damage. Tri Attack definitely knocks out Urshifu, even if he would go for Surging Strikes. Calyrex Shadow Rider switches in, we're gonna be trying to catch the Incineroar switch here with Max Quake. Alright. Actually gonna speed this up. And Heat Wave goes into the Porygon 2. We get a special attack boost, which is not enough to KO the Incineroar, but Max Quake still does a lot of damage, and Heat Wave will finish off Porygon 2 here, so... And Heat Wave will still damage the Incineroar pretty well. Max Darkness hits into the Calyrex, which then unfortunately allows the Incineroar to proc its Figgy Berry. We're gonna go for a Helping Hand here to try to knock out a Glastrier immediately, and worst case scenario again is opponent targets down the Chandela and knocks it out. But either way, whatever opponent targets down, Moonblast or Heat Wave single target in Sun would knock out Incineroar, so this is the game plan against Porygon 2. If opponent chooses to lead with it. Hopefully this is the correct replay. Yes, it is. So against a Venusaur plus Charizard lead, we want to just go for a Heat Wave plus Tailwind immediately to start chipping away at Charizard. Charizard is of course the best option for opponent to switch to Preserve and Dynamax. Venusaur Dynamaxing would not make any sense. Charizard Dynamaxing plus Groudon switch makes sense. So yeah, play, Groudon set up Sun, and a Max Airstream hits into the Chandela. And we're gonna see. We're gonna go for Hyper Fast. Yeah, this thing. We just go for just Helping Hand Max Heat Wave here, nothing to see here. And now we just trap the opponent with Helping Hand. Astral Barrage is going to do ridiculous damage to the opponent here. It's just all planned out. Because right now the Calyrex Shadow Rider is almighty. And opponent's worst case scenario is that it protects Charizard. Now, what are our opponent's options? Well, we will just Astral Barrage plus Moonblast with Whimsicott, and there is nothing opponent can do to stop that. We're guaranteed going to get a special attack boost, and we're going to guaranteed get a Moonblast off. If opponent faking out the Whimsicott, he would not get anywhere, or she would not get anywhere. And here we just set up a Tailwind and just double knockout because Calyrex Shadow Rider is just powerful. Yeah, that is the game plans against all Sun leads. Against Xerneas, we want to immediately put pressure on with Calyrex, Shadow Rider, and Thundurus. So we basically just hard counter the Incineroar Xerneas lead. Just watch. This is sad. The opponent just led incorrectly. Oopsie daisy. Yeah, Fake Out's not gonna do anything. Oopsie daisy. That did over 50%. Oh. This one-shot's Incineroar. Oh well. Oh, I might set up Geomancy. Oh, Omega switches in. Should want to go fast here. A Rage Powder. Uh-oh. A Throw Barrage does a lot of damage. The crit didn't matter. Because Thunderous actually takes the +2 attack here. Oops, I survived that. Oops, I get Defiant Boost. Yeah, so in this case, in this scenario, this is a pretty easy matchup. Yeah, we would just target down Xerneas here with the Max Heart Stream. And we would outspeed the Xerneas next turn with Calyrex Shadow Rider as well. We got Indeedee for that direction. Yeah, I think we would just be very much set against this archetype. And next one, against a Mega Xerneas late, we just want to switch immediately to Indeedee. I cannot imagine opponent switching the Incineroar turn 1. Because that would just give Thunderous Defiant Beast and that would be instantly a loss and KO on Xerneas. So we just go for Expanding Force, and at worst we force a 50-50 here. Yeah. And again, the rest of the game is just going to be some of worst case scenarios. Opponent switches an Incineroar. We assume opponent goes for Dazzling Gleam, so we waste the Calyrex Sears Dynamax, so we survive the Dazzling Gleam. We knock out the Xerneas, and opponent's Incineroar knocks us out. And unfortunately, this is just over because Superpower KOs Incineroar, Surging Strikes KOs Landorus. So even in worst case scenarios, we're gonna still win if the start of the game is gonna go so well. So Yveltal is one of the worst case scenarios, like matchups as well. Raichu and Fake Out just relentlessly fake out. Raichu resurrects the Max Lightning. Yveltal is most likely a weakness policy that can get self-procced by Volt Switch. It's ridiculous how horrifying this matchup is, but we're gonna try to solve it. So we're gonna lead Calyrex, Thunderous. So we for example KO'd Amogus with a Throw Barrage plus Max Airstream. So the Amogus late, let's just say we are not gonna worry about that. So turn 1, what do you want to do? There is no possible switching from Raichu, and Raichu is the most expandable Pokemon, believe it or not. Incineroar is just so much more annoying for my backup in late game. And Tapu Fini just is very important in defensive department because it's the only Pokemon on opponent's team that can protect, apart from Yveltal. So, believe it or not, Raichu is the most expandable Pokemon, and opponent will have to sacrifice it turn 1 for a Fake Out. But at what cost? Opponent will go for Max Airstream, opponent cannot go for Max Darkness, or else Thunderous's Defiant ability activates and it's over, by the way. So again, I'm just going to go over the worst case scenarios. So for example, I'm going to try to predict a Yveltal, Tapu Fini to protect, so we're going to go for double up on Yveltal. Whimsicott switches in next turn, Incineroar has to switch in to preserve the Tapu Fini, and yeah, unfortunately Yveltal does not get knocked out here, and opponent gets a pretty hefty weakness plus of it. As you see, Yveltal's so delicate that even takes this attack, and we got a Fake Out pressure right now on a field, so this is horrible. But with Aqua Jet, Urshifu actually countering for us. So basically, Tailwind is not sufficient enough boost to allow Urshifu outspeed Yveltal. Yveltal runs max speed, and if we would not go for Aqua Jet here, we would just get Oblivion Winged to Oblivion and we would just lose the game. So we have to go for Aqua Jet, just in case the Incineroar just fakes out Thunderous. And by the way, the Incineroar switch is just so good because it allows to get us it allows the opponent to just get a Fake Out pressure next turn, which is just very important, and forces out the Fake Out. So, but unfortunately, this is a win. Also, I'm just gonna note here that I should have went for Superpower into Incineroar because Flare Blitz would have probably not coming out even without the recoil, and Superpower plus Aqua Jet would allow me to KO Incineroar guaranteed, and then Thunderous would deal with Fini later in literally the next turn. Because we got Assault Vest on Thunderous, Demon Blast would not hurt at all. So yeah, this is the worst case scenario, best case scenario against Yveltal. But I still, even with this game plan, I doubt you're gonna have easy time figuring out how to deal with Yveltal because there's just so many plays opponent can do at all times. This is a model scenario. This is just a basic way to perceive this game plan, but don't count on having easy time against Yveltal. So, mirror section. The best way to counteract this is to just go for a Thunderous mirror. and Whimsicott mirrors. So let's see who wins here. So basically, if you're gonna have like 5 or 6 more mirrors, it's most likely going to come down to speed dice, especially if you're hyper offense player. This is just gonna come down to speed dice. I'm not even sure who I am supposed to be cheering for here. We just get decimated left and right. Oh yeah, opponent's Whimsicott survived the attack and mine did not. Okay, I guess that's a thing. Yeah, this opponent's Xerneas, like, it's just gonna win right now. Oopsie daisy. Oh, I finally knocked out a Whimsicott, but at what cost? That didn't do all that much, and I just forfeit the game because it's over. Yeah, yeah, mirrors are gonna come down to that, so don't expect any miracles happening. You just need to be the more lucky player, unfortunately. In other mirrors, you could do something about it, but hyper offense mirrors are always about this. So I'm going to be praising the Incineroar Mimikyu lead against the Calyrex-Shadow Rider. I'm going to be praising that later in the video, in the counteraction section, but here we're going to be trying to counteract that with a bit more Beard, Chandela, and Diddy lead. So how do we fare? So basically turn 1, we just go for a Imprison and we switch to Xerneas. Like, we can fish for a Snarl here, but I don't expect that happening, and Mimikyu cannot use its Steel Trick Room. Now, do not Dynamax Xerneas because opponent might just realize, oh, I can burn that Xerneas, and opponent will probably just go for that. As you're seeing here, you're probably expecting, what are we possibly doing this turn? Well, we're setting up the battlefield for Calyrex-Shadow Rider to carry on the sweep. Oops, Astral Barrage will just knock out Mimikyu and do it go anything in the back. Oh yeah, Mimikyu most likely only has Shadow Sneak, so it doesn't really do that much. Yeah, Superpower should be able to finish off Incineroar. Let's just hop on the hyper fast replay. So yeah, this combo is just completely incapable of counteracting us at this point. Calyrex-Shadow Rider Ice Rider has the Dynamax to try to attempt to survive the Max Phantasm, and also most likely it doesn't have Protect, so this is the best case scenario. It has to either Max Guard to delay it by 1 turn, or it just has to faint. So yeah, this is just pretty good. And excuse me, this is wait, what? It's glitched. Oh, wait a minute, what the heck is even happening here? It loaded like 2 replays at the same time, didn't it? Oh yeah, let's actually I'm gonna try to, I don't know what happened to the team builder here, but okay. I mean, shooter on replay section. Alright, so against Amingus Mimikyu, we want to turn 1 to go for Imprison, as we did before, and we're gonna Expanding Force. Unfortunately, that knocks out none of the Pokemon, and Heat Wave plus Expanding Force would only make the Protect, Trick Room reality, and we do not want that to be reality. Indeed, well, the worst case scenario is Double Phoenix switches in, and the Ice Rider immediately switches in to exert the pressure. We do a little bit damage to Calyrex Ice Rider, and we go for a Follow Me and a Astral Barrage, which makes us guaranteed to take this hit. We broke the weakness policy, but Tapu Fini is nowhere close. Actually, accuracy drop. Oops. But spoiler alert, I never miss in this replay, so it reflects my thoughts pretty well. So yeah, right now opponent is completely screwed. I do not want to prematurely Dynamax anything, especially the Calyrex-Shadow Rider, because yeah, Mingus could switch in and ruin the game plan as well. Yeah, now we're just gonna go for Astral Barrages over and over again. We're just gonna finish this game. And I Dynamax here so I don't miss. Yeah, I actually showcase here. Shadow Sneak does not actually KO Shadow Rider in its Dynamax form. It does like 34%. And then we just reverse sweep. So yeah, this is the game plan against Mimirax. You're lucky that I've been notified that the refreshing the page has turned on the music during the editing of the video, because I do not normally edit the video. I didn't previously, I just uploaded it to YouTube, so I got kinda lucky. Anyway, let's explain the Dialga matchup again. It's pretty straightforward once, the last 3, so... yeah, Dialga Grimmsnarl is probably what you should expect most of the time out of this lead, as like... the team already has pretty bad matchup, and this is like their best out. Alright, so... what I expect the opponent to go for turn 1 is like Reflect, to try to protect itself from the protect itself from the choice band close combat, which would probably massacre Dialga a bit harder than the Max Quake would. And also, maybe Dialga would max guard turn 1, so this is why I doubled up the Grimmsnarl. Also, we did not want to proc the weakness policy of the Dialga, and thus the double up with the Max Quake and Surging Strikes made no sense. Although, with defined Thunderous right here, opponent cannot really go for Max Dragon into Thunderous here because of the, well, that would proc the Defiant, and the next turn, Dialga is Dynamaxing, so it probably wants some defense based help against the superpower as well. Unfortunately, this is not gonna be enough, especially with stuff like Feeny, Thunderous, Landorus available Pokemon in the back. It's not gonna be a very nice sight to see this late game. Of course, Astral Barrage, well, the charge is just gonna clean this up. And Calyrex really increasing the special defense with the Max Quake is really like last nail in the coffin for the Dialga matchup, so yeah, we just completely decimate this matchup. So against Solgaleo Spectre, I do not expect the opponent to lead Solgaleo Spectre against me because that's a suicide. Of course it is. We have Calyrex Shadow Rider on the team, but the lead I'm gonna show you still has a chance against it because we can Airstream plus... Well, basically the opponent with Spectre plus Solgaleo would go for Bulldoze plus a Max something, but with the Max Airstream, bringing back Chandela's speed up for Bulldoze and Thunderous being immune out of Bulldoze, we will get a Heat Wave against the Solgaleo before it can go for any kind of like Max Quake shenanigans, and we're gonna always KO Spectre at turn 1. And after we get a Heat Wave, we can switch to Calyrex Shadow Rider and finish the job Chandela has started. So I think this is like good game plan, even in worst case scenario that opponent is just completely crazy, crazy and leads with the Spectre Solgaleo, we just still win. But we're gonna be focusing on this late. So against this late, we're just gonna go for Max Lightning and the Moltres. Like, also a good thing to know, do not fear to Max Lightning the Moltres in this matchup because Moltres cannot be weakness policy, because Solgaleo has to be the weakness policy user. And Max Airstream to try to speed up, but we're gonna be trying to speed up again back the next turn. Unfortunately, Moltres actually outspeeds us this turn. Every Moltres should be outspeeding Thunderous after +1 speed. Because it should outspeed Kartana, and Thunderous is just not that far away from Kartana. So Grimmsnarl, as you're gonna see later, actually wins the game because it got the Thunder Wave off, but we're gonna use our imagination and say we're gonna win the game. I'm gonna just follow you through the game. So yeah, Spirit Break would not have done anything anyways, even if opponent got yeah, actually opponent would not even get a Spirit Break off because Urshifu outspeeds it. Even at +2, AD times 2 is 160, and 163 is higher than 160. So yeah, here we do not want to proc the weakness plus of Solgaleo just yet. Opponent goes for another Rock Slide, perhaps just hacks me out. Yeah, we actually got full parity here. If we could have gotten the Surging Strikes off, we would actually get Porygon 2, and next turn, opponent is unable to KO both of us with Earthquake or single target Sunsteel Strike, so Astral Barrage plus Surging Strikes would have won me the game. If I would not get full parrot, but that's Pokemon for you. So this game, just use your imagination that we won the game, because otherwise Pokemon won the game. Not Hamster Tester, but Pokemon. That's TPCI for you. And last worst case scenario is Zacian, Lapras, Thunderous, Moltres. Moltres is extremely rare on this archetype. So yeah, I just decided to go with worst case scenario anyways. So we're gonna see this lead, Whimsical called Thunderous. So basically if opponent let Incineroar Lapras, we would just go for a Helping and Max Lightning with +1 attack, we would instantly KO the Lapras and win the game. Against something like a Zacian plus Thunderous, we would be able to KO the Thunderous with 2 Max Lightnings, and then we would bring in Chandela later in the game, and it would get a single target Heat Wave off, and we would win the game as a result because it one-shot Zacian. This is different kind of scenario though, because opponent decided to have Moltres for some reason as a worst case scenario. So turn 1, opponent cannot knock out Thunderous under any circumstances because we got Assault Vest and Max Darkness plus Behemoth Blade would not KO. So best case scenario for opponent is to actually go for Max Earthstream here and just get a attack off. So yeah, opponent might prone to protect Zacian because Heat Wave actually knocks it out as well. So opponent has to protect the Zacian. And opponent is just out of options at this point. Like, opponent's like... The problem with Zacian team most of the time is that it has only Zacian and Dynamax and then 2 supporters, which do not synergize at all too well. So the Zacian teams are wonky because of that. They don't really work too well together. They just exert pressure because they got so many Dynamax options and Zacian as well. But yeah, actually, comically, I think I missed 3 heat waves in a row here against this Among Us, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think even in worst case scenario where opponent has Moltres, we should be still in very commanding position for the reasons I've shown you in this game. So what are the most reliable counteractions to Urshifu? Well, the most basic one I'd say is like Tyranitar, which is almost never used right now, but when you think about it, Thundurus can't really damage it. Max Rockfall just goes back. Calyrex Shadow Rider can't even touch it, like what's gonna do? Max Quake? Oh well, that doesn't deal that much. Only thing that can truly counteract it on the opponent's team is Urshifu, which Tyranitar could theoretically solve by Chople Berry to give itself additional turn for its ally to finish it off, or for example, ally to bring it down and Focus Sash, and then Max Knuckle finishes off the Urshifu. So I'd say the most basic counteraction that can happen, the most desperate counteraction for Calyrex Shadow Rider is really Tyranitar. Other more flexible counteraction includes, as I've mentioned, Thundurus, which has Lash Out. Lash Out, Max Darkness, instantly one-shots Calyrex Shadow Rider, and after Max Single Max Airstream, you outspeed it. So if you match the elements, they get an Airstream off turn 1. Next turn you can just scale the Calyrex Shadow Rider with Max Darkness from Lash Out, and you're pretty much out of oblige. Might as well just like with Assault Vest you take the Max Mindstorm at least once as well. Expanding Force might be even a 2-hit KO, so maybe not even a 2-hit KO. So yeah, Assault Vest is necessary to just make it more tanky, but Lash Out, it should be like pretty good counteraction for it, or at least it will put immense pressure on the Calyrex slot itself. Other more, I would say probably worst counteraction at Thundurus is a Night Slash Aerial Ace Cortana. Like, you miss out on very important move, either Sacred Sword, Smart Strike, or Leaf Blade, or you do not run Aerial Ace on Cortana at all, and you just go for a Night Slash, Max Darkness, KO on a Calyrex Shadow Rider, which I think is more of a best of one counteraction, more than a solid counteraction. So if you want to run like Treat Scarf Night Slash, feel free, but I think the job is done much better by Lash Out Thundurus with Assault Vest. One more, of course, counteraction, one of the most honorable mentions is, of course, Weakness plus Moltres Gala, which gets a Weakness plus a Beast from the Max Lightning from Thundurus, so it does massive damage back with Max Darkness. Of course, it has to be careful, because Thundurus carries Assault Vest, so it doesn't get really damaged that hard, and then it just gets +2 attack, so you have to be a bit careful around Thundurus, but really, Calyrex Shadow Rider uses Draining Kiss very rarely because of its just limited usability, and it doesn't really counteract Moltres at all because of its massive special defense stat. So it also ever just tickles Moltres, procs Weakness Policy, and then Moltres counteracts back because really Calyrex Shadow Rider can't touch it. Indeed, he cannot touch it. Whimsicott procs the Weakness Policy. Urshifu does a lot of damage but gets punctured by Max Airstream back. So you're seeing Moltres' qualities here, but you really need to work on the Thundurus counteraction. Fortunately, I can suggest you one. Focus Sash Spam with Icicle Crush Ice Shard, Adamant Max Attack. Icicle Crush plus Ice Shard allows for a 2-hit KO on Thundurus. These 2 attacks 2-hit KO the Thundurus. So yeah, and Focus Sash allows you to survive like 1 Astral Brush as well. Oblivious makes you Immunite Intimidate, which some Calyrex Shadow Riders might want to run Intimidate instead on their team. This makes you Immunite to it. And this is like arguably the best Thundurus counteraction in the game, so yeah, I think this is good combo alongside Moltres. If you already got Moltres on the team, just add -1 and your trouble should be solved. Of course, other great allies for Moltres include Resurrection, Spore, Cover Berry, and Mega Scat special mention as well, because it survives a Max Airstream from Thundurus and then spores it, making it not a threat for upcoming few turns. So yeah, these are like probably the best 2 allies for Moltres. Excuse me. Where do I have the rest of the counteractions? I do not have them here. Yeah, Calyrex should rather do. So yeah, as I've mentioned, Tailwind plus Regieleki could be theoretically a counteraction on paper. Tailwind, Electro Web is just slows them down. So if you go something like Kyogre, well, basically Kyogre actually outspeeds Calyrex Shadow. If it's timid Kyogre with Mystic Water, it can do a lot of damage to Calyrex Shadow Rider, and after a single Electro Web, timid Kyogre will outspeed the Calyrex Shadow Rider. So that's some food for thought. And of course, Regieleki plus Tailwind could be paired up with Thundurus as well for basically a last shot to KO the Calyrex Shadow Rider. Kartana can go for Max Darkness. You get creative with these two Pokemon, really. You can do a lot of things with Electro Web, but keep in mind, Thundurus won't get counteracted by this, so you have to be a bit careful. And probably the most consistent counteraction, so if you already got Incineroar on a team and your team has middling speed, I'd say one of the most reliable counteractions is to carry Max Darkness or Dynamax Incineroar with Darkest Lariat plus a Trick Room. What you achieve by that is the fact that you just basically like Ice Beam plus Max Darkness actually KOs like Imprisoners. Max Darkness also counteracts the Calyrex Shadow Rider and just one-shots it, while it's just like there's just so much threat. Like if you set up Trick Room, the Calyrex Shadow Rider team is screwed and will automatically instantly lose. There is nothing coming back from that. So opponent has to really just put a lot of effort into counteracting the Porygon 2, which leaves Incineroar out in open unchecked. Max Flare plus Max Flare in Sonic 2-hit KOs Thundurus, so there is another food for thought. Thundurus will most likely have to take care of Porygon 2 with Max Knuckle or something, which gives you Incineroar a free turn to go for Max Flare, and then finish it off next turn with another Max Flare. And Max Flare also set up the Sun, so Surging Strikes from a Rapid Strike or Shifu do not damage you as much, but arguably Close Combat after that will probably just do a lot of damage to Incineroar as it's already on the field, so it cannot intimidate it. But Darkest Lariat also instantly one-shots Calyrex Shadow Rider, and it also forces it to Dynamax, because, well, like, Darkest Lariat KOs Calyrex Shadow Rider even without Dynamaxing, but Mudshot does not do nowhere enough damage to KO Incineroar. So opponent is forced to Dynamax to KO the, have a chance to KO the Incineroar, but you counter Dynamax, survive the Max Quake, and then KO back. All that while Porygon 2 is threatening a Trick Room against the Calyrex Shadow Rider. So this combo puts immense pressure on the opponent right from the start. And you can pretty much force out some leads with this combo, so you can pretty much trick your opponent. So for example, your opponent is forced to counteract Incineroar plus Porygon 2 lead, and you completely lead with something else, and the opponent is like, oh, I lose. Yeah, so use that for psychological advantage as well. This alone though is a sufficient enough counteraction, I'd say. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this new type of Metagame Monday, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!